And one of the things I love about football, which I kind of try to translate into everyday living, is that in football, you get 4 chances to get another 4 chances. And that's like life. Like, you might fumble the ball, you might lose possession, but unless you really, really, really botch it, you will get the ball back.
Children who aren't reading proficiently by the end of 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. Today, we're stepping on a different type of field. We're stepping onto the field of imagination. We have a special guest in the house, and she's an author, literacy advocate, and football royalty. She is the granddaughter of Leonard Tose, the former owner of the Philadelphia Eagles. And she's going to talk to us about the power of play and how we can use reading to get our children excited about literacy. She's Marnie Schneider, and we welcome her to the Fearless Conversation. So let's huddle up and dive in. Thank you so much, Marnie, for joining us on the Fearless Conversation. Guys, usually we're talking about being bold, strong, fearless, and confident. And those conversations are inspired by my children's books, The Fearless Princess. But today we're talking about how to be confident and to fall in love with reading, which is inspired by my children's books, the What Would A Tell Play Today book series. Now, this book is all about play. And when I read this book to children in the school systems, they are excited because it's about play. It's got a rap in it, and they're learning about music. They're excited about writing. And I encourage them to get outside and play, put down technology, and enjoy the years of their youth. Well, I was invited on Fox and Friends to talk about technology. And after the show, I met Marnie Schneider. And Marnie and I have a lot in common. We discovered that we have a lot in common. And we have books in common, the love for getting children excited about reading and play. So I want you to meet her and see how great she is, because I already know how great she is. So I want you to meet her. Marnie, I want you to tell everyone about yourself. I mentioned about your grandfather. I want you to tell us a little bit about that and how you blended football with children's books.
Well, thank you, MeKael. Yes, I appreciate that incredible introduction, and thank you for having me on your show. I'm a big fan of yours, and after I saw you on TV, I was like, she is a woman I want to know. And so graciously friended me, and look where we are now, because we have so many things in common, and that is what I think ultimately sports does. So I
Yeah.
grew up in Philadelphia. My grandfather, Leonard Tose, on the Philadelphia Eagles. My mom, Susan, ran the team for my grandfather, and to this day is still the only female vice president, legal counsel, and general manager of a professional football team. So I'm very proud of my mom's accomplishments and my grandfather's commitment to giving back in the community.
Okay.
So what does that really mean, and how did I get where I am, and how did we connect? Well, growing up and traveling around and seeing all these great football cities that host professional football teams, I was able to make friends, be a fan, learn about sports, and understand what it really means to get involved in that community. And I wanted to find ways to do that as an adult. So my mom, about 7 years ago, said, remember when you were younger and you would write these stories on these long plane rides back to Philadelphia? Let's take that out and do something with it. So we came up with our very first book, Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog, Game Day in Philadelphia. And that turned into something that ended up becoming very popular, and kids liked it and everybody liked it. Here it is, Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog, Game Day in Philadelphia. So in this book, Football Freddy and Fumble, who actually is my dog, he's sitting right behind me. And Football Freddy, Fumble the Dog, and Billy from Philly travel throughout the city of Philadelphia and seeing the sights, so you get to learn a little bit about the history of Philadelphia, and then you make your way to the stadium to cheer on the home team. So that book did really well, and it was lots of fun. Everybody got excited about reading and learning about their city and being a fan. And so since then, we've done 11 other cities, including Canton, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the home of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio. So that book is right here. So there. So I think that the things that we have in common, MeKael, is that
Hmm.
we love we love giving back. That's
Yeah.
like our number one thing. Like we have amnesia about our generosity, and so we find ways to give back and to make a difference in our community, but in every community. And I know we're working on something for your community, which would be so fun to do, to get kids a library book or get kids their
Yeah.
own book to bring home. So I think that we bonded on that. We also understand what it's like to be a parent and
Mhm.
want our kids to play and want our kids to be healthy and our kids involved, and playing is truly is such a great thing to be able to give our children the opportunity to play sports but also just play. So I
Right.
think for us, like getting kids excited about playing, being a fan, and reading, which is truly the ultimate coping skill, are just great ways that we can give back to the community and find ways to connect with other parents who have the same values and understand what it really means to to get kids excited about reading. And that's really what we're all about.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So, Marnie, what's one of your favorite cities that you've written about?
Well, I mean,
About
I
it.
feel like so for different reasons, I love all of my books.
Mm-hmm.
In Game Day in Pittsburgh, and I always kind of go back to that book. In each book, with the exception of Philadelphia, Freddie has a tour guide. In Philadelphia, she is Billy, but Freddie, I'm from Philly, so I know
Hmm.
Philadelphia. So in every book, Freddie has a tour guide to show her around the city. And they're people based off my friends, my kids' friends, or kind of a combination of all of that. In Game Day in Pittsburgh, Freddie's tour guide is a young man named Hugh. Hugh is my college roommate's son, and Hugh is profoundly autistic. So
Okay.
in Game Day in Pittsburgh, and I went to Penn State, and I love the city of Pittsburgh. But I also love the fact that in that book, Hugh is Freddie's tour guide, and he is showing Freddie and Fumble around the city of Pittsburgh. So one of the things that for me is very special is was really highlighting and celebrating Hugh. And while he might be autistic, he's still the best person to show you around Pittsburgh. So I think that while that might not be, I love all the cities, I think that Pittsburgh is probably still my default favorite book because I really got to celebrate Hugh. I mean, that's not to say that like I don't love the Carolinas and I don't love Tampa Bay, because in Tampa Bay, Freddie's tour guide is a young man named Fred. So it's
Hmm.
Freddie and Fred has cerebral palsy and was living at the Ronald McDonald House. So it was a way for me to highlight things that mattered to me, whether it was wearing glasses and kids understanding what it's like when you wear glasses and not necessarily being mean about that, or
Right.
being autistic. Like those are things that matter. In Game Day in Kansas City, Freddie's tour guide Julie has a peanut allergy, so we talk about that. So I
Hmm.
just wanted to incorporate things that were part of my life or my friends' lives, so that we can share our different stories and talk about what other kids and other families are going through.
Yeah, and that's one thing I like about your books, because I do have some of your books. I like that you make them so diverse. You have different types of children from different backgrounds, different things going on. So I do love that about your books. So it's important for children to be able to read a book and identify with the characters in the book, identify with the storyline, and be able to see themselves. So I think you hit that right on the nail with that on the
Well,
head.
you know what? I really appreciate that. It's really it didn't happen. It was organic how it
Mhm.
happened because I like people the same,
Mhm.
like, so for me it wasn't like let's manipulate this character and here, and no, it was like, okay, I want to talk about autism, and I want to talk about
Right.
this character, and I want to talk about friends can be different colors, and I have friends of many different backgrounds and ethnicities, and I think that that's improved my life so much that I wanted to celebrate that because I'm so grateful for all my friends. I'm an only child, so like
Mhm.
all of my friends, boys and girls, have become my family. Or now they're not boys and girls, but now they're adult, people. But when you're an only child, like I crave the relationships as their family relationships with my adult, female and male friends, and so they're from all over the world.
Yeah. So, Morna, why do you believe sports and storytelling is a powerful combination?
Well, we kind of came up with this new term, all right, called sports edutainment.
Mm,
Because, yeah, you like it?
I
Uh-huh.
like
And so it's a
it.
whole new category. Thank you. It's a whole new category of kids' books, sports
Hmm.
edutainment. So we want to be entertaining and we want them to love sports and we want to be educational as well. So, sports edutainment is this category that we created at Game Day, which really I think encompasses all the things that we want to talk about, which is sports, play, being a good teammate, understanding the rules of play, discipline, grit, reading, playing, being a good friend, being a good fan, being a good cheerleader for your friends. So, like, all of that stuff to me is really sports edutainment.
I love that. I love that so much.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
So if reading is like training camp
Yeah.
for the brain, how do you coach kids and parents to get in the game and stay in the game?
Well, so I think that like that's some of the things that we've been able to do with Football Freddy and Fumble. So we like to say we're kind of like beach entry to reading, okay? Because not and so meaning like you can enjoy obviously being a fan. Like we
Hmm.
know that you're going to end up at the stadium. So kids that are really into sports are going to be like, all right, I just want to get to the but they have to they can also learn about the Betsy Ross House and the Liberty Bell and the National
Hmm.
Constitution Center. And I think one of the things that helps kids is being read to. And
Yeah.
so some of the things that we were like, okay, we want to encourage adult people to read, adult men in particular, to read to their daughters and their sons and their nephews and nieces and cousins or whatever. And so we think that having a little bit of that sports in the book does help that. So whereas as a female, all girls are princesses and we're all living in a fairy tale, and I love
Hmm.
that, and I think that all girls are princesses no matter what. But a lot of times adult men don't want to read about princesses so much. All right, they want to
Yep.
read about sports. I want to read about whatever, something else.
Yep.
They don't read about unicorns and fairy tales. So I think that with Football Freddy and Fumble, we were able to create a concept, again, sports edutainment, where adult men were like, all right, I'm excited about reading this book because while there are princesses in it, there's still some sort of sports at the end, and we'll get to that. And it's also relatable. They can remember maybe going and getting a cheesesteak at Pat Steaks with their family, or if even
Hmm.
if they don't live in that city, or they can talk about, wow, I remember, going to, the Reading Terminal Market, for example, or going to see the art museum, things like that, things that are really relatable, to families, or if they haven't been there, like I want to go to Love Park. I want to see that. I want to go to
Right.
the art museum. And so places that ultimately they can excite them so that if they're able to go travel there, then they can be like, I want to go make this a destination. Or if they can't get there, they can at least feel like it's that they have been there through reading our books. Really do, I think, bring them some excitement about getting being a fan and being
Yeah.
there and enjoying
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. And I like that you incorporate so many good nuggets, so many educational um, nuggets in the book where you're actually learning about that particular city. You learn about the history of it. And it's also fun. So I love that. And I want to know, did you incorporate any lessons that you may have learned from your grandfather while he was with the Philadelphia Eagles? Any of that make it to your Philadelphia Eagles book?
Yes, definitely. I was so fortunate to grow up and to learn a lot of lessons about
Hmm.
life and things like that. So there are definitely messages throughout the books, each of my books, that talk about different learning things. Like I'll give you a great example. This isn't my grandfather's lesson, but in the Game Day in Dallas Fort Worth, I talk about how there's a great saying from their famous quarterback Roger Staubach, and the saying says there are no traffic jams on the extra mile. And
Hmm.
so I want kids to understand like what that means. Like like I live by that. Like that means that like you got to keep going, and once you the extra mile, that's where all the magic happens. And so if kids can understand that and they can play by those rules and understand how that's going to fill them up as a person, then I think that that will be really helpful. So throughout all my books, I have different sayings and messages, and like in Game Day in Green Bay, Coach Vince Lombardi had so many great sayings like catch excellence. Like it's not just about catching a football, it's about catching excellence and trying to be your best and going out there and working really hard. And I think that the football field, sports does that. It's like I love TV shows and I love movies, but when you watch them, actors and actresses get a chance to redo the scene or rework it or redo it if it's not good. But when you're playing sports, you don't get the do-over. You've got to go there, you got to be prepared, you show up, and that's it. And then at the end of 60 minutes, it's over. And so you can't go back in the studio and re-loop it, re-sing it, remake it, rewrite it. That's what I think is life. Like, you have to bring it. And one of the things I love about football, which I kind of try to translate into everyday living, is that in football, you get 4 chances to get another 4 chances. And that's like life. Like, you might fumble the ball, you might lose possession, but unless you really, really, really botch it, you will get the ball back.
Yeah.
So, you got to remember that, like, so unless you make major mistakes and like end up behind bars or whatever, and even then you'll eventually probably get the ball back. But
Yeah.
what I love about life, is in football, is that you get chances to get more chances, and you just have to be prepared and diligent and work hard and disciplined and have grit and be a good person and understand all those things. And then life will actually be pretty fun and easy for you.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of times when I read to children, I go into the schools and I read to them. I have a little question and answer section at the end. And I oftentimes ask them, how many of you like to read? And a lot of times I hear, reading is boring. And I think for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to just go ahead and publish these books, my books, was because I wanted to provide children with books that they can relate to, that they will find fun. Like in the What Will A-Tab Play Today book, it's a rap. So I thought they have fun rapping the rap in there. So I think when by you writing your books about sports, a lot of times those answers are from boys. Reading is boring. For you, it's so witty how you did it to incorporate that football to meet them where they at. Meet those children who think reading is boring. Because I always say, there's a book out there for you. You just got to find it. The perfect encounter, the perfect match has to take place. And so with your books, I think it's a great opportunity to get more children reading, especially boys reading. And like you said, the dads and the boys reading about football, learning about their city and their favorite teams. So how important is that for you? How does that make you feel that you're reaching these children, especially boys and dads, and they're creating that bond while reading?
Well, it's interesting because when I would do book signings, I'd go to Barnes and Noble, and I would say this, that like my customers were always dads, were always men, like dads. And moms were, usually running through Barnes and Noble, very rushed, trying to get the last minute birthday gift or whatever. And like, I can't be bothered right now. And even if the boys would straggle over to like see what we had, or, if I had Fumble with me, they wanted to see the dog. So, but the dads we're always like, wait a minute, tell me about this. Like, she's like a football person and you got like kids in this book, and they were really interested. So I know that it was something that dads want to, or, an uncle or whatever. They were men. The majority of times it was a man was a customer because they know that this is going to help them connect with their son, their daughter, their nephew. I mean, all of those things. So, of course, for me, I love the idea that we're creating an excitement and getting boys excited about reading. Because if boys can read, right now, as we're in a total reading crisis. I mean, academics and literacy are really in trouble. I mean, I think we're slowly getting that turned around. But for the past 4 years, we've really had trouble. And so getting young boys to get excited about reading will ultimately change their trajectory of many different things. And so it feels great. And I know that there's an appetite and an interest. Parents want their kids to succeed. Grandparents want their kids to succeed. And so getting them excited about reading is really the best way we can get kids succeeding. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
playing too, but they have to read. Reading and playing are the two things that will, and the arts in their own way will definitely help as well. But reading and playing are, and especially for boys, playing and reading are the two
Yeah.
things that will change their life completely.
I agree. One thing that I think actually that kind of hinders those numbers of more boys reading is confidence. A lot of times, like I advocate for children, for parents to introduce reading early. Get it to them early as possible. Like coming out the womb early. Start reading to your child, because as you read to them and they get that they fall in love with reading, they build that confidence to read. A lot of times, children aren't confident that they can actually read the words on the pages of the paper. But if we could start them early reading, then it'll help build that vocabulary. It'll help expand that language level in their language skills. So how important is it for children to feel confident, not just in reading, but be confident on the field, confident as kids in general?
Well, I think that the more things that they can do
Hmm.
independently, that builds confidence.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, if they can, learn to, tie their shoes, the things that they can start
Hmm.
developing at a young age. I mean, and then as an adult, obviously, the more things that you can do, like when we started our call, I was like, every day I learned things that I really maybe wasn't planning on learning. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, it's a lot, but I'm grateful for that because I have the confidence to know that I will take that information and I will figure out what to do with it and why I need it and why it's important. But for young kids, confidence really comes from being able to accomplish things.
Yeah.
And hard as a parent, you want to do all these things for our children. I know I do. And now I look back, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done some of those things that I
Hmm.
did. And because I want my kids to have a sense of themselves. I want them to be confident in everything they do. I want them to be good people and be philanthropic. But I think for young kids, the more that we can encourage them to do things on their own, but we're still supervising and chaperoning, the more confidence they will build in themselves. And certainly reading, if kids can be, they say readers are leaders. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. Kids that can read, that we know that they become more successful. That's just how it is. It's a fact. It's not some made up thing. But when you can read, you can actually go and do a lot of other things that your friends might not be able to do because you're a good reader and you're learning and you're reading, and it gives you confidence to know that you can accomplish things just through reading.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times when they start late, some parents they may not have known. Okay, I need to introduce reading early. I need to have been reading to my child when they was an infant or a toddler, and they introduce it late. What kind of inspiration or hope you can give to the parent that, hey, don't give up on your child. They still have time to learn to read and be confident readers.
Well, it's never too late. I mean, the thing is, what another family saying is it's never how you start, it's how you finish.
Mm.
So it's like I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, my oldest son had, cancer as a baby. He didn't walk or talk till he was almost 5. And so he was very delayed. But, it's like, but we kept on him, and I kept reading and kept involving him and kept him playing, and he ended up playing high school football and all of those things. And so again, it's like, it's not how you start. It's how you finish and that you finish. So just because you're maybe not reading at a certain reading level as your friends, well, use that as motivation to go summer read. We're almost in the summertime. Find out a way to get books. I'll send people books. I know you will. We're still
Hmm.
going to plan that thing. We want kids to have books in their house and read to themselves, read to their siblings, take a book with you. There's nothing more fun than like having a
Yeah,
book in your bag. I mean, when
yeah,
I travel with my backpack, I always have books in it, either to read myself or to give to, to give to a family that I see on a plane or whatever it is, because I know that, it's going to be a much more meaningful lesson than having, this thing in front of them.
Right. So,
So
so, so powerful. So powerful. We get our children confident and confident readers. They're
yeah,
on to another level. To
another
another.
level. I mean, we can really change many. We can change their entire life, and
Yeah.
we can change their entire life if they can read. When they can read, anything is possible. That is it. We always say when kids read, we all win. That's it. That's our hashtag. When kids
Yeah.
read, we all win. Because if kids can read and they can enjoy reading and get excited about reading, then it's something that will help them in every single category. They'll be a better friend, they'll be a better student, they'll be a better child. They might not have some behavioral issues. They could definitely be a better teammate. They'll understand, like, everything. There's nothing that no one's ever going to say, oh man, I wish I didn't read,
Ooh. Come
right?
on.
No one's ever going to say that. No.
Ooh. That's good. That's real good.
Thank
So
you.
let's read. Let's read. Don't give up, parents. Don't quit on your kids. Don't give up. If they're saying, I don't want to read, reading is boring. No, we don't stop. We don't give up. Just like we mentioned earlier on another podcast, if if when your baby is an infant and you're introducing food to that child, you don't just introduce the baby food one time and just because they pushed it back, you you keep introducing it, keep giving it to them. You don't give up on your child. And then when they find the book or the genre of book, the type of book that they love to read or the type of author they like, then hey, you're starting that lifelong love of reading right there by not giving up.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, and then you're also teaching them what grit and discipline is about. We have to do hard things all the time. Hard things are how our brain develops from doing hard things. That's it.
Come on.
We like to do hard things. We like to do hard things. I mean, we just do. Our brain likes it. Our brains like hard things. If things were easy, we would just be a big pile of mush. But we like to do hard things. We want to physically do hard things. We want to emotionally do hard things. We want to invest and dig in and be involved and invested. And in economics, if you're not invested, you can't collect. So we want to invest in our children and ourselves. Invest in that. That you will see the return in a huge way. In a huge way. But it might just take some time. And you know what? You got to have patience, because if you don't have patience, nothing can happen. You've got to have the patience and the discipline, but when you do those things, you will get the results. You will get huge results.
Yeah, that's so profound, so good, so many good nuggets. Oh, I just love it, girl. Ooh. Okay, Marty, first time for something a little light. A
Okay,
2 minute drill. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Your favorite football movie?
Oh, I'm invincible for sure.
Okay. Eagles or another team you secretly cheer for?
Oh boy. My friends all think I'm secret Cowboy fans because I have a lot of friends that played on the Cowboys. I like all the teams. I like all the teams. And
Okay, that's a good answer.
I like
That's
all the
a
teams.
political correct answer.
I like all the teams. Yeah.
Okay. Writing spot, cozy nook or travel hustle?
Oh, a cozy nook.
Mm, I
Yeah.
like it. Favorite book as a kid?
The Little Princess.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Little Princess.
One snack you must have during game day.
Oh, geez. I mean, well, it depends on where I am. If I'm home, then if I'm in my house watching football games, certainly a lot of food to choose from, a lot of items. Or like if I'm at a place that has, if I'm in Philadelphia, I definitely need to have a cheesesteak for sure. I can't be in Philadelphia and not have a cheesesteak. So those are things that I definitely, if I was in Green Bay, I'd want to have, some cheese curds for sure. I guess I
Mhm.
like cheese a lot. But I think it depends on the city that I'm in. But yeah, if I'm in Chicago for football or for anything, gotta have some deep dish pizza and a hot
Mhm.
dog. So things that are important to that city, definitely.
Okay.
Those are things I like to
I
have.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So, Marnie, is there anything else you would like to share with the viewing audience about your books, about your literacy efforts, about your grandfather, about anything about you want to share? Now's the time.
Well, thank you. I think that one of the things is that I appreciate your time and having me on your show so that we can talk about getting kids excited about reading and playing and being a fan. I mean, ultimately, we want kids to be fans of themselves.
Mhm.
And the way to do that, the way to be a fan of yourself is to, like you said, have confidence, but also know that you can, that you're a winner. And
Yeah.
winners read and they play and they're responsible and they take care of themselves and they're great teammates. And so those are things that really do matter. And let's get kids reading. Like I said, when kids read, we all win. So
Yeah.
ultimately, if people want to find me, they can go to Marnie Schneider on Facebook. They can go to my Instagram, Marnie Schneider 1. They can reach out to you. We love to, find ways to get kids and communities books and get kids reading and showing up. And I think that, ultimately we're as parents, it's our commitment to our children and to the communities that we love and live in or believe in to get kids, have them, let's get every kid a
Yeah.
book to bring home and to have in their own home. It really
Yeah.
does mean something.
Perfect. Perfect. What about your books? Where can they find your books to purchase?
So they can go to Amazon and Football Freddy and Fumble the Dog, and they can go to Amazon to get the books. They can go to my website, marnieschneider.com, and the books are available there. Barnes and Noble as well. But I think Amazon or my website is
Okay.
probably the easiest place to go find them. Amazon seems to, have it all. So you can get the books there and, just or reach out to me or you, and we'll find ways to get people books. If they really can't afford it and don't have access to it, then we'll figure something out so that they can
Okay.
get the books for the summer. Yeah. But
Sounds great.
definitely,
Now,
but
how many books have you written? Different football Freddy books.
so I've written 12. So I have Philadelphia, the Carolinas, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Green Bay, Dallas Fort Worth, Tampa Bay, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Canton, Denver, and Kansas City. And I'm just about to finish Game Day in San Francisco. Here's Game Day in Denver right here. And the Golden Retriever is also my dog. So in this book, my co-author is Letha Atwater, and her
Mhm.
husband Steve Atwater played for the Denver Broncos, is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Letha is an amazing woman. She is a licensed professional therapist, and so in this book we talk a lot about mental health and mental wellness. And in
Ooh.
this book, Rookie, who is also my dog, is a therapy dog. So we talk about that in this book and ways to, very basic ways because if you have need to go see a doctor, of course, and get help that you need, but there's just some basic ways to always feel better. Eat well, try to get some sleep, get out in the sun, go for
Yeah.
a walk, call a friend, read a book, go out and play. Those are some basic things that will always make our brains feel better.
I love it. You are hitting every little spot. I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you. We, we're on the same page, the
Yeah.
same team. We think alike, and again, that's why I'm so glad that we connected and that we can share our message of family and faith and getting kids reading and being a good person and finding ways to add value. And those are things that I grew up hearing those things, and I think that both of our books share those messages of
Mhm.
getting kids excited about reading and knowing that they're princesses and knowing that they can do anything and knowing that they matter and that being a fan of themselves is ultimately the best gift that they can give us.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Do you have time for one more question, Marnie?
Of
Okay, this is what I've written down for you. What legacy do you hope your books will leave in the hearts of young readers, especially those who may not see themselves in sports or stories right now?
So I think the legacy is that they could they can do anything in certainly in the world they want. They can
Mhm.
be an athlete, they could be a writer, they could be. There's so many opportunities in sports for people to take advantage of. So they don't have to necessarily be an athlete. Again, they could be involved in being a trainer. They could be involved in working in the ticket office. They can do they can do sales. They can do marketing. Sports in general has so many different things and covers every category, from the actual athlete on the field or on the court to being artsy and doing social media or doing their graphics or doing so many things that you can do in sports that are not just specifically being the athlete. So I think my legacy is getting kids excited about sports, and maybe that will open up opportunities for them to see themselves in different ways in the sporting world. Whether, like I said, it's, being in the front office, being an executive, being a lawyer, being an agent, going and working in the ticket office, working in the, where they sell all the food, working in the snack shack, selling the concessions, creating different things like that. So there's so many opportunities, designing uniforms. I mean, the sky is the limit. All you have to do is think about it, and so many opportunities are available. So I think my legacy is getting kids excited about reading, seeing what they may or may not want to do in sports, and maybe getting involved in it. Because I do think that sports really is the universal language. There's nothing really more universal than sports. And so while you might not be a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, you might say, you know what, but I really think that, Dak Prescott is awesome. And so of course, Mississippi State, we love Dak. So that's why my friends, they all say you're a Cowboy fan at heart. But so I think that, that's why I think people can speak the language of sports. It really is the universal language. Again, you might not like that team. You might say, I don't like that team, but I like Dak Prescott. Or, you know what, I don't like the Eagles, but I like, Saquon Barkley. So I think that that's why, and that can create a great conversation and bring people together, because nothing really brings people together more than sports does. And again, together in a way where you might not agree that team is your team, but you can find common ground in players, and that I think is what's really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's perfect. That's perfect. Look, I can go on and on and on talking with you, Marnie. You're so sweet and you have such wisdom. And I just enjoyed our conversation today. And I hope we inspired some parents, some grandparents, some guardians to get their children reading and reading early so they can enjoy. Look, when you're reading, you're exposing your child to some things they may not be. Like you said, they may not actually see themselves as being an athlete, but they can discover something else related to sports that they could actually be. So exposure is key. Pick up those books and read.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exposure.
Yeah, exposure. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for another Fearless Conversation. Don't forget, check out my books at MeKaelBlack.com. Both of our books on Amazon. We just enjoyed this conversation today. And always remember to be bold, strong, and fearless. Peace.